the Raging Bull, Gorden Tallis, James, Dusty, Graham, and the great James Hooper. A very good afternoon, boys. Jammer, how are you, mate? You just look a little dusty, mate. What's going on, brother? A bit dishevelled today.
I'm fine, thanks, Dobber.
Good to hear your voice,
How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. How's that hair, mate? We'll get to it a bit later, but I heard that somebody may have been a little bit of a prima donna this week about his hair. Anyway, we'll get to that a bit later. No, just got a tip off about it. Hey, Raging Bull, good afternoon. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. It's been a great weekend of footy. It's like so many upsets. You just wish for Parramatta fans that they would have got it, and then you just look at the competition probably would have come alive to see Penrith just sort of stumble over the hurdle. But it's been a fascinating weekend when you think that everything's going to be settled and all the dust is settled and they all sit in their little slots. But rugby league, the greatest game of all, just keeps on producing, Ben.
We will get to Parramatta very shortly as well because this man has been, right in the thick of the Parramatta news this week. But a very good afternoon to the great Two Scoops Hoops. James Hooper, good afternoon, my friend.
Afternoon, Dobbo and boys. Afternoon, everybody. How good's the footy going at the moment?
Awesome.
It's like the finals have come a month early. The quality of the contest, those scenes last night at Jubilee Oval, a suburban venue, two very passionate sets of fans. They haven't had a lot to cheer about in recent times, but for the doggies, I'm loving the doggies at the moment. They are on fire.
Just before we get stuck into the show, like, Dobbo, what is it about you and trying to belittle people? Like, you've come and attacked me to start the show.
Yes, I have.
But it's not just me. So I was actually listening to you last night, and I think it's just a timely reminder of some of your antics that you get up to and how you belittle people. You have this power game going on. So let's just have a listen.
No, he didn't make the top 50.
Well, that's coming up. That is coming up later. But let's just have a listen to the Dobbo's intro yesterday evening.
A very good evening and welcome. My name's Ben Dobbin. I'm assisted tonight with two of the best. In other times past, they wouldn't have been in any state whatsoever to be here. Mitchell Pearce and Todd Carney, but they are alive, they are well, they are clear-minded. Hello, boys, how are we?
Like, mate, that's all true. Their own words. They were
So
Group
do you want
1
us to tell
ratbags.
the truth about you?
They were Group 1
Do you want
ratbags.
us? No. Do you want us to tell the truth about you?
What do you
Just
mean?
open the show every week about you.
Mate, I'm sorry. They were very willing and able, and they're
I'm
both
just,
very good.
no.
They're
That's not
characters. They're
that.
great
That wasn't the
characters of the
question.
Great
game.
characters.
That wasn't the question.
Legends of the game.
Would you like people to open and just tell the truth about you?
Well, people do.
Whoa.
5 kids to 3 women, and I live in Ipswich. What's there to hide? I'm paying maintenance. Oh,
No, but everything else. No, mate. That's the life that we know nothing about. The life that we know everything about.
Shut up.
Sven.
Okay.
No, but Dobbo, like, you come at me. Yeah, I had a few beers last night. So what?
I'm surprised
Do you know
you
what?
can
He's
even
one of
remember
those
that.
guys. I tell you what. So Dobbo's one of those guys, right? That's ate burger and chips, right? And use nuggets as Tic Tacs. He's gone on a health kick. So now, if you have a beer, he's one of those guys that look down on you. You've turned into Ben Eichen.
No, excuse me. That's
hanging around
a
him a lot.
compliment.
You must be hanging around him a
That's
lot.
a compliment.
Because
Well,
I
he
can
is
use to
one of
start
his
saying, oh,
best
mate, what are
mates.
you
That
doing
is a
having a beer?
compliment. That
Listen
is a
here,
compliment.
right?
I'd love to be
For
like
one,
you.
mate, you're not my dad. You're not James's dad. And you're not Hoops' dad.
No, I'm not.
Right? We're adults. We can go to war for the country, so we're allowed to go for a beer. We're overage. If we do, and you choose to have your chai lattes and sit with your
I don't
group
have
of
a chai
guys,
latte.
don't start begging us.
And Mitch Pearce and Todd Carney, they've moved on from their lives, and you want to go on this like archaeological expedition and dig up all the past. Like,
Well, let's talk about archaeological expeditions, and let's talk about the biting allegation with Flanagan. There's a new biter. There's a new biter. You led yourself into that, John.
oh man, I just saved that up for you. I've got to prop you up, my friend.
It was a gift. The Bulldogs defeating the Dragons 28 points to 10. You're right, Hoops. The Dogs are flying at the moment and outstanding. But the big controversy is the allegations that Kyle Flanagan bit Stephen Crichton. The judiciary has referred him straight to the panel. There's no charge, so you're going straight to. I'm going to start with the journalist asking Cameron Sororo post-match just his thoughts on the incident.
Sarah, we saw reports after the game that Stephen Crichton had been bitten on the nose by a rival player. Have you spoken to him about that after the game?
Yeah, just quickly. Yeah, his nose was a bit swollen there, but not in great detail, no.
Is that the reason he's not here now?
Yeah, he's getting a few things checked actually, but yeah.
It's pretty serious if that's occurred, if that's found to have happened on the field.
Yeah, no, I don't know what to say about it really, so we'll leave it there.
So the allegation, I'll start with you, Hoops. The allegation is that Kyle Flanagan pitched Stephen Crichton. We've all seen the footage. It has been referred to the judiciary. Initial thoughts on this one?
Well, it doesn't look good. And generally, I'm thinking back to the last time a player was charged with biting. I think it was Sean Johnson was bitten by Kevin Proctor. And in that instance, he bit him on the arm or the hand, and you could see clear teeth marks. And Sean raised the red flag immediately and went straight to the referee. He was asked, do you want to make an official complaint? He said yes. I guess the only thing that's different in these circumstances is in the 63rd minute, when the incidents happened, Stephen Crichton hasn't immediately gone to the referee. He's got on with the game and got on with his job. The Bulldogs have had a great win, but then he clearly felt so strongly about it that he has gone to the match officials afterwards. And when they asked him, do you want to make an official complaint? He said yes. Generally, players who get referred to the judiciary, it's very difficult to not be sitting on the sidelines for a number of weeks if you are referred straight to the judiciary. Rarely do you see instances where players are found not guilty when that's a set of circumstances.
That's the telling sign for me. So obviously sometimes in the heat of the moment you're like kids, they can dob straight away and you might regret it. For Stephen Crichton to play the rest of the game and still feel that way, I think it's maturity from Crichton, but then you can't have it in the game. And did he bite him? I don't know, but if Stephen Crichton had a nose like Brent Tate, geez, Flanagan would have been in trouble. It'd be Pinocchio down there, or like a Laurie Daly nose. But I don't know whether he bit it, but he certainly had his mouth around his nose, and only those two know.
Well, he was on top. He was on top from the vision.
The footage doesn't look great.
No, that's right. The footage doesn't look great.
If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to Fox League last night in the aftermath of the incident, and you've got Mal Meninga, the 13th Immortal, and Cooper Cronk, and they're two very measured and also extremely respected figures in the game. And their initial take was that it looked quite damning. So I know that Shane Flanagan, I haven't spoken to Flano about it, but I know that Shane Flanagan has since spoken to people and said Kyle's going to defend it. He's adamant that Stephen Crichton was pushing his head down on his head with significant force, and that was the only way that the incident came
It looked
about.
like that.
You know what? And then that could be a fair argument, right?
Yep.
So, and that's what I'm saying. So you're not there. So how hard you push something in or whatever, you don't know. And then those two will know. To me, the footage doesn't look great. So whether Crichton's pushing hard and that's what you seem to see,
I saw, and
it's whether his mouth closes or not.
it's whether or not he takes a chomp on it. And that's the honest
It drew
thing.
blood, so...
Yeah, but mate, and I'm not trying to defend Kyle in this moment, but if the nose goes into his mouth and he pushes down, he's got no mouth guard on his bottom teeth, so that is going to draw blood. Like that
would have been his nostrils.
Oh, yeah.
Not the ridge of his nose.
Are you available for the judiciary case on Tuesday night?
Because there's evidence got thrown out.
My evidence is flawed. My argument's flawed.
Because the bottom teeth would have been on the nostril.
But what I'm
and the
saying
top
is it
teeth.
depends which way. But he was on top, so there is
Well, the match
Kevin
review
Proctor
committee,
came
Dobbo,
out- Yeah.
the match review committee clearly think that it is an extremely serious incident because Kyle's
been
been
referred.
referred straight there.
And look, it's not a fun time for the Flanagans as well. Like, obviously, the coach defends their player.
Of course.
But this is his son. So, obviously it's before the tribunal, but, all the press, the noise division, it's not looking good, is it?
well,
What do you reckon, Gemma?
Gemma.
What's
I
it
mean,
like, speaking
seriously,
of that,
right, no,
Jimmy,
right, no.
I've got to ask, we've got to ask.
Man, look, you went there.
What is it like as a player when you make headlines of this nature and it's on the back page, it's on the front page, everybody in rugby league's talking about it, and you're waiting to go to the judiciary?
Oh, it's awful. Like, you're involved in an incident that everybody's talking about, and you front and back, you sort of can't really escape it. It's not a nice position to be in, but I mean, it sort of comes with the territory. To be fair, as well, like any time anything like that's happened to me, I'm fine.
Yep.
Like I'll get on with it. I'll crack on. It's the impact on your friends and your family that sort of have to go into bat for you a little bit, or a little bit, they have to face difficult conversations on your behalf. So I think as an individual, you're strong enough to overcome it, and in time you can work through it. It's just shit on your loved ones. It really is. It's horrible.
And just on the funny side, the Dragons were always known as the fan and biters, weren't they? For like years. So like I think in the 70s, opposition teams, Dobbo, used to gather and throw lolly teeth at them in the corner. Mate, like the Rod Reddy, the Craig Young sides or whatever. So, but it's, Shane's got to defend it. It's just a shame that it's his son. And you'd go there because no one would like to be known as it, right?
Yeah.
As a biter. But the judiciary will tell. I think he'll be out for, a bit of time.
It's going to have widespread ramifications in that sense, Gordy, because they're still competing to try and qualify for the top 8. They've got a big month of football coming up. They're coming off a great victory against the Melbourne Storm down there. Ended that 25-year hoodoo. I know they didn't get the 2 points last night, but Kyle's still an important part of that side, and so it's going to have a big impact if he is sat down for a significant amount of time.
Either way, the Dogs now, and you like that? I just threw that in there for you. Dogs are...
Either way.
They're
the real
deal.
Can I just ask one more question?
Okay.
Do you know from memory what Sean Johnson got?
Kevin Proctor, he got
6
4
weeks. 4
I thought
weeks.
it was 4. I thought it was 4 weeks, but I'd have to check.
Yeah, right.
I was 12. What was Jack Whiten?
I think Jack got 4, did he?
Yeah.
Because he had to miss it. Remember, he couldn't play in Vegas at the start of the season. Yeah. Yep.
So
there's been a few in recent times.
We'll know once that, and that will play out this week through the media. Let's talk about the Dogs. And people questioned their attack a couple of weeks ago that they put on 40 points against the Bronx. We've seen them, and they can withstand the rise of Toby Sexton. He is, I think, surprised an enormous amount of people. I understand he left the Titans to go for an opportunity, but he has really fitted in Jammer into this side, and I don't know if they're but they're definitely a prelim side. They can definitely get to a prelim this year. I think, they are a much better side than people are giving them credit for.
So
and
prelims, the best 4 sides in the comp.
Yep.
Well, let's not forget, just on Toby Sexton as well, he did start the season in reserve grade for a number of weeks. So he's had to persevere, test of his character to whether or not he was going to continue on and continue working away. Obviously, they went with Drew Hutchison for a sustained period of time, even those first 2 games, if you remember, a lot of question marks around the Dogs. They lost to Parramatta and they lost to Cronulla from memory, which weren't great, and people started to question what was going on there. The Dogs, really, I think, where can they go? Like, why can't they win it? Why can't they do it? They've got arguably, the best or second best defence, statistically speaking, in the competition when it comes to...
Is their forward pack too small when it comes to the crunch?
It doesn't. You know what, Gordy? I don't think it matters with the way they play. I genuinely don't think it matters because I reckon what they lack in size, they more than make up for in fitness and grit. I get all that,
but you know, a good big man always beats a good small man.
Yeah, but they don't beat 6 of them, and they come in numbers, and they have a defensive system there, which is they're happy to miss tackles on a big guy, but they'll swarm you, and then when you shift the ball to the edge, they've got this. It's not one size fits all. It's a defensive decision. It empowers people to make decisions on the edge. They get up fast, they get up hard, and almost people are looking at them, watching them play, saying they can't keep going what they're doing. They are so fit.
Yeah,
they've got an attitude. They've got a good attitude to how they play the game as well. They love the game, and it's been so impressive. Like, look at their performances as well against the Melbourne Storm and the Penrith Panthers this year. Arguably 2 of their best games, so they can mix it with the best.
And just on the game in general, I think it's a great lesson on our number 7 in Toby Sexton, right? Yeah. And we watched, Sam Walker, like he spent time in reserve grade and all that. I always say the greatest halfbacks that I played against, like Alf, for his whole career in his first 50 games, passed the ball to a number 6 by the name of Wally Lewis. Peter Sterling passed to Brett Kenny. Ricky Stewart passed to Laurie Dat. Our great halves that we look at have always passed to someone. And right now, with all the young talent, they all want to play fullback, right? But even Sloan, one of the greatest, good athlete, superstar kid, he's had time in reserve grade. So and then when you're entrusted to run the team and touch the ball 70 times, and Toby Sexton was criticised at the Titans at times and even at the Dogs, but it just proves if you put time and effort into them and give them a great system, I think halfbacks, it's like a 100-game thing before they actually get it. If you ask Andrew Johns at 18 and then Joey's starting to say it, between Jonathan Thurston in his first 4 years and his last 4 years, they're different players.
He's figuring the game out, Toby Sexton.
Absolutely.
He's figuring out where the strengths of the team are, and he's reacting to defences now. Instead of just going in with a premeditated game plan of, I'll just pass the ball to Beto out the back, or I'll just kick on play 5. That's it. He's actually his eyes are really opened up. He's starting to view the game very differently now. Like the try that he put on with the little kick yesterday, his run game, even
the pass to Bronson Cherry,
how good was that pass selection?
He's figuring out the strengths of figuring out the game, but also the strengths of his teammates.
Yeah. To your question, Gordy, from earlier about have they got the big men to match it with the absolute top sides in the competition, I just want to give their unsung forward pack a bit of a rap. Sam Hughes, Harry Hayes and Josh Cohen are absolutely punching above their weight at the moment. And I'm with Jammer. I get the argument, Gordy, and when you look at them on paper, you go, oh, you know what? Nah, they probably haven't got enough big game experience and they're not quite, they don't have a James Fisher-Harris, they don't have a Moses Leota, they're probably just missing one cornerstone Joe Tarpanay style of forward in the middle. But the job that those blokes are doing and the way that they're all buying into what Cameron Ciraldo is coaching, it's outstanding.
They've got the draw forward. Dolphins next week in Bundaberg. Jammer, watch out. Waz, Manly.
What are you trying to say?
Oh,
here we go again, Ben.
I'm just saying.
Are you available for Bundaberg, Dobbo? Are you available?
Bundaberg can bring a man down.
I reckon you should go and spend some time in Bundaberg, and you and Jammer should get acquainted, get to know one another.
Dobbo, mate, they don't rub with Bundaberg. They're real people.
Yeah. Oh, is that right?
Yeah, mate, real Queenslanders, bro. You know what it's like,
Is that what, mate?
Yeah. Bundaberg rum.
Just
you know what it's like, cuz.
Shut up.
Just on the
you don't like it, do you?
we found a weak point.
Came in today, mate. The first thing he showed me, he pulled out his Wallaby shirt. Oh, this is amazing. What about that?
Are you serious?
Yeah. Did you?
Don't.
You pick
Make
up
a
my
story.
mate. I'm just.
Here we go. Here we go.
That there is 100% true.
Pied Pipers again. Three together. Here we go.
Go
on, mate.
Just quickly on the Dogs as well. So I looked at the interchange bench yesterday, and it was quite strange to see Dragons react to put Molo and DeBellin, their starting props, on the bench. And I think they thought that those two were going to come on and cause havoc because the bench of the opposition, the Bulldogs, because you look at it on paper and you're like, oh, we'll have some joy when
Bailey Hayward
when Hayward and Moran and Hopboy come on and Hayes. But they just plug themselves into that system and just keep working hard. And there's so much to like about them at the minute. The way they work together as a unit and as a team is sensational.
It certainly is. For the Dragons, with losing Flanagan, and we think that he'll be gone, and just some clarification, Whiten got 3 weeks, Proctor got 4 weeks. So,
well, don't rub him out yet. He's got to go down and front the judiciary.
But that's a huge out for them. That halves combination of Hunt and Flanagan have been doing wonders. But it's now going to come down to tic-tacs in this race for the 8. So the Dolphins game this afternoon has some real complexities to it if they can beat the Warriors. And now that opens the door. And we're going to get to Brisbane in a minute. But it will
That's not a complexity then, is it? You've pretty much just explained it.
Well, no, there's other teams that can come as well. There's other teams that are in the race. Canberra.
It's too early for the Crystal Snowflake ball.
It's not. No, it's not. These kind of games. Well,
I think you mean it's got ramifications, not complexities.
Okay. Sorry, academic. When did you become the authority on English in this group?
Well, mate, he is from England.
He can't spell. You're right in the headlights today. Anyway, on
Do you
that
know what?
note...
No, I tell you what, let's have a spelling bee one day between you.
Oh, that'd be a great. I'd love that.
We'll set it up for later in the show.
You want to come in? You want to be involved in it as well?
No, just put a
No, you
dollar
come
sign
in
in
as
front
well,
of it.
Festa.
No,
Hey,
no, listen,
you're
I tell you what, put a
bright,
dollar
so
sign in
you're
front of
gonna
it and
front
I'll
up.
beat you.
Yeah, you're real bright.
Put a dollar sign in front of it and I'll beat you. Don't go down to the
the only
gutter,
one that
brother.
can spell in this is Hooper. And you know what he spelled about you? Grub. Grub. Let's talk Parramatta. Hoops, I'm going to come straight to you. This week, you made these comments on 360. We talked about it last week as well. And where there's smoke, there's fire. Silence has been deafening out of Parramatta. Where are we at, and what is going on with Mitchell Moses, his contract and his longevity at the club?
Well, firstly, everybody really likes and rates Mitchell Moses as a player. He is, to Nathan Cleary at the moment, he's only a shandy behind Nathan Cleary as the best halfback in the game. But I can understand why Mitchell, like plenty of other players at the Parramatta Eels at the moment, would be frustrated with the direction and with the decisions that club management have made. No one is knocking Jason Riles. I wish Rilesy all the best and every success in the Parramatta rebuild. But there's no question that the Eels are no longer in a premiership window. They are now in a rebuild and they're trying to offload players. That has been around for a couple of weeks now, that they're trying to move Micah Sivo and also Ryan Madison. They haven't been able to find anywhere yet. Off the back of that, I also heard that there have been a lot of conversations about Mitchell, who has an option in his contract, possibly asking for a release. Now, he is yet to do that.
An earlier one, because
Yes.
when's his option?
His option is in 2026, so he's signed for next year and he's signed for 2026, but he can tell them in 2026 if he is going to take up the remainder of his contract.
For 2027. So he's contracted, current status is he's got 2 years left,
Yes.
but he may aggravate for an earlier release than that.
Well, he may decide that he wants to go down that road, given the way that Parramatta are running the show at the moment. Now, the Eels are obviously fuming. I only said it as an opinion on 360 on Wednesday, that I would have thought that the perfect place for Mitchell to land, given where he's at in his career, he turns 30 in September, would be a club like the Sydney Roosters, who are a powerhouse. They've got premiership windows open every single season. Of course, they have Sam Walker at the moment, but all the talk at present around Sam Walker is that, and I think that he will stay, is that he's going to test the market. Now, that always comes with an element of risk. So we'll wait and see how it plays out. And I don't blame Mitchell for being frustrated at Parramatta. The decisions that they've made this season, the way they got rid of Brad Arthur, the fact that they haven't been able to win
But can
many
I ask
games.
a couple of Parramatta, just say if I'm a Parramatta fan.
Yeah, go for it.
And if I'm a Parramatta fan, I'm sitting there, I'd go, has all of them played to their potential?
No, this year, no.
So
They
we
did
talk
on
about
Friday night.
Yep.
They did
There you go,
against the reigning premiers on Friday night.
I get all that, right? I mean, but they can't sit now as a playing group and go, oh, you sacked my coach. They sacked him because they weren't winning and they thought that they needed a fresh idea. So that doesn't just come out of thin air, does it?
No, it doesn't, Gordy. You're right, and it's a very fair question.
And then I've watched all Parramatta players hug Brad Arthur after the game. So there's
they were extremely
there's so much
close.
respect after the game.
Yep.
But the respect is play like play like Cleary, play like Curran, play like the Bulldogs side, and just go just in case. That's you know what I mean. So if you looked at the Parramatta roster, and now you're thinking about the roster, if you looked at the beginning of the year, you would think that it's equal to the Bulldogs, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. I had the Eels in the top 8 every day of the week at the beginning of the season. I
It's
think that,
underperformed.
Mitchell is one of the best players in the game at the moment, and he's only going to get better. Why I think it's become an issue is because he's got this option. There are other players who've been tapped on the shoulder, so it goes both ways. The club can't have it both ways. If you're going to tap players on the shoulder and tell them, "Hey, listen, we need you to have a look around, and we're actually going to need you to go." Well, it's very hard.
But don't they do that because they want to give? But don't they do that because they want to give Mitchell a better roster?
Well, they do it because they've got to get under the salary cap, Gordon. And at the moment, they've got a lot of challenges at Parramatta in relation to that.
They've got Lomax coming in next year.
They have got Lomax, but that's why they're trying to move Ryan Madison and also Micah Sivo, because they're on big money and they've got to get everything to balance. I'm sure that it will. I don't think that'll be a problem, but they need to free up some room.
Yep.
This is the issue that I have with all of this. And Hoops, your mail, I back every single day of the week. So if Parramatta are going to say this is not the case and Mitchell Moses' management and everybody, it's really easy. Mitchell, tomorrow, you come out and you do a press conference at your club in your club colours and say, listen, I'm committed to say, but the silence is what's creating the narrative even more and more. Like, this is clearly going on. But there's one way to fix this.
Can I tell you something? No, because he can't, because his manager's not allowed to shop him around.
I don't think his manager is shopping him around, Gordon.
So Mitchell's going and knocking on Uncle Nick's door.
No, I don't think that's happened either. I think, look, the Roosters are adamant.
So a third party's asking questions for him.
Oh, well, you know how it works,
Yeah,
Gordon.
No, I don't know how it works.
We all know how it works.
We've all been around long enough to know.
Not every listener knows how it works.
Well,
How
there's
it
obviously
can fit together.
Yeah, people who are connected to other people who are having conversations. So, it's twice removed. But
So who shops them around? So that's my point. So is it against, so why have rules? Just say, hey, listen here, players, you can play one game for us, but you can just leave whenever you want. I'm just talking as a fan.
I get it, Gordon. I understand the frustration. And Parramatta Eels fans are rightly fuming at the moment. Not only were they very hard done by on Friday night, I thought they'd done enough to deserve to win that game. It took an almighty resurgence from the triple premiers Penrith to unseat them. But their club is hurtling towards the bottom of the ladder, and it's starting to have a little bit of a West Tigers look. Some of the decisions and some of the people who are calling the shots, they've left themselves exposed to wearing a lot of criticism and to having a disgruntled playing group.
Well, I think Moses with those options in 2 years' time, they've got more pressing priorities in terms of Brown has the ability to enact a player release
Next year
for the following season, as does Will Penasini.
Yes.
I think we might see Mitchell Moses. It could be a chain reaction. If Brown stays, I'll stay.
Yep.
If he goes, then I'm going to follow suit.
I see that logic,
Yeah.
Jammer. I can understand that. And I mean, Penasini's another big one too. He's a young gun player. He's come through the Parramatta system. They have huge hopes for him. He's been a really quality player in his emerging NRL career. But I've got concerns that because he's got one of those options for next year. And again, I blame the management. Like, why they have put all these ridiculous options in these contracts. I've never seen it end well.
You might give it to one star player. Maybe if you're desperate. But to do it for both your halfbacks 1 year after another.
And your gun centre.
You are, like, that's strange thinking.
It is.
So where does it leave Sam Walker?
Well, like I said a little earlier, Gordy, I think all the mail at the moment is Sam Walker loves the Roosters, right?
Yep.
And the Roosters, if they click, I think we all agree that they're a damn good show of winning the competition, right? They can trouble some of the heavyweights, even though recently they haven't had a great record against Penrith and Melbourne. But Sam Walker, I think, will wait until after November the 1st, and that will mean that other clubs are entitled to come in and hold talks with him, and then he's got a decision to make. He's signed with the Sydney Roosters for 2025. Everything that we hear is that he wants to stay, and in all likelihood that he will stay. But if players are going to test the market, well, who knows what other clubs might be prepared to present.
I think there's a big difference between what Sam believes and his management believe he's worth and what the Roosters are offering at the moment.
Yeah,
I think that there is a huge gap at the moment.
So didn't they offer him 8s and 9s?
I don't know what the figure is.
They certainly offered him well in excess of $900,000.
And I think there's a gap between what he believes and
what do you think he's worth?
I don't know. It's worth what somebody's prepared to pay, but there are clubs that are
He's only just turned 22.
Yeah.
Reynolds will be retiring soon. Sean Johnson has just retired.
David
Cherry Evans will go. So there's some premier halfbacks exiting the game, and there's some new teams coming into the competition.
Yep.
Good
So
timing.
at 22, like this man's price is just going up and up and up. The more these star halfbacks go out the game.
The Roosters don't miss out, though, on players they want to keep. Like, let's just be honest. If
Mate,
they
that's my
generally
point.
want to keep him...
Well,
sometimes, Dobbo, sometimes they do, because if you look at who's, in terms of their retention and their recruitment for next year, they've got Joey Manu leaving, they've got Joseph Suaalii leaving. I don't think they wanted to lose either of those two players, but it was an unfortunate set of circumstances.
It's still a business. You still have a salary cap.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting
Well,
to see
you
what
asked
happens.
about what Walker's worth. He could potentially go into the 1.4s, 1.3s.
So that means that he's better than Nathan Cleary.
At another club. No, he's worth more at another club.
You're worth what someone's willing to pay
Yeah.
you. And if you look at the Jerome Luai situation,
Nathan Cleary, get out. You're $2 million.
Well, do you know what, Gordy?
No, I'm serious.
A club would pay that. A club would pay that.
Perth Bears would pay that for him.
absolutely they would.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they
So
pay it for Ivan. Like they would.
So I don't think you should rule out Sam Walker's value, if he goes onto the open market, is what a club who's in desperate need of a halfback is prepared to pay and build a side round. So that's what it is. Hey, can I just talk about what Buzz has reported, that the West Tigers believe, and this is his repeating, that he thinks that Luai will be named captain for the West Tigers next year.
That's a great choice.
Well, they've got a great captain there in Appy Coruscant.
Great choice.
So why would you go and already a guy who's gone through all the hard
Don't be
work and
friends.
hard
They're
time?
in the middle.
What do you think, Hoops? I mean, you're a West Tigers, black and gold never fold. I find it, mate, quite strange. Luai's never captained Penrith, really. And then you're going to entrust him with the captaincy of the West Tigers when you've already got a guy who has led this club in Appy Coruscant for the last 2 years under real duress.
I got all the time in the world for Appy Coruscant. I think the way that he plays the game, Dobbo, I've often heard Gordy when he talks about Jeff Tuvey, he says he's put his head where you wouldn't put your feet. And I think Appy is a similar style of player. He's not a big guy, but he's so brave the way he plays in the middle. But at the same time, I wouldn't have an issue if they do decide that they want to go this way. I wasn't a big Jerome Luai fan over the course of the last couple of years, but I think this year he has shown a real level of maturity, and I think that he absolutely would be able to handle a leadership role in, if anything, it might actually work similar to the way that it's worked with Stephen Crichton at Canterbury.
Yep.
And it could actually even unlock Jerome's game to a bigger and better
just hang
level.
on for a minute.
What?
Beep, beep.
What's happened?
Beep.
Tom,
Oh,
those
mate's
chairs
backing
going
up the
backwards.
truck. He's backing up the truck. He's had a complete pirouette 360 change, Hooper, on Luai. He's completely changed.
I declared. I said I wasn't a fan of Jerome. I've had my run-ins with him. But, mate if
Luai's
someone...
changed.
That's
Mate, he
right.
stopped calling you a Gronk. Well, that's the one thing, mate. Mate, if you were in Sydney,
we go.
you'd be a Gronk.
Here we
You
go.
would. No,
Here we
mate,
go.
but you would be.
Here we go. The News Limited boys sticking together again. Come
No,
on.
no,
There you
no,
go.
not
There you
at all,
go.
Dobbo.
There you go.
No, this is Triple M. So basically, you're saying that you're on the 9 side. Is that
No,
what
I'm
you
not.
just
I'm
said?
not on any side. I'm united.
Pick
I
your
don't
side,
need to.
brother.
I don't need to pick
Pick
a
your side.
team in this
Pick
group.
your side. What did Denny text you, did he? After you had one little... Oh,
You're as united as a crumbling
rubber
blancmange, Dobbo. That's how united you are, right? Now, on Jerome, mate, you are entitled to change your view if you feel as though somebody's actions have showed that they have also matured. And I think it's only fair. You don't
It's
have
an
to
opinion.
necessarily, just because you've locked horns a couple of times, it doesn't mean that you have to stick to your guns no matter what.
it's an opinion.
So you believe he should be the captain?
I think he's changed. Yeah, do you know what? Like, just watching how much he's grown, and when Nathan's been out this year, and we watched him magic round, I thought he's the best player for Penrith that day, and just certain things. And I think it comes with a maturity, and maybe they want him to take that role. Maybe it's more where the club's at, and with what's happening with players, and he might be really strong behind the scenes with the Toto, with Taruva, with their recruitment, and just say, hey, mate, this is going to be a leader. Like, who knows? We're not there, but I don't have a problem with it. I don't see it as a huge, big... Like, Appy hasn't been the Tigers captain for 10 years.
No, and you know the other element of it, Gordy? Maybe Appy might be getting tired of fronting the cameras every single week and talking about the various reasoning of why the club's only been able to win 4 games this season. That week after week after week, having to front the cameras after every loss.
He could be very
That
happy
would-
with the decision.
That would be challenging.
Yeah,
Jammer, do you like it?
I don't dislike it. I think what Jerome's shown this year, like you've already spoken about, is that level of maturity has gone up. I think taking over in that number 7 role, as he's really blossomed in that, even in defeat against the Warriors at Magic Round. We were watching him very closely and being like really impressed. I think he's got to come into the Tigers with a lot of expectation. A lot of people are looking for him to be the driver for change. So stick that C next to his name. Like, you're paying him, he'd be the highest paid player at the Tigers, and just give him that level of extra responsibility. I think he'll grow, he'll flourish, and he'll bring some people with him. It's not a knock on Api Coruscant whatsoever, but it's about what Luai can do when he comes into the joint, that extra responsibility and the impact on the playing group.